Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, their habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. He is a serial entrepreneur and a business growth specialist with 20 plus years of experience across 4 countries. He helps SaaS, e-commerce, and marketplace business unlock new growth at, at the intersection of product, sales, customer success, and marketing. 2 companies achieved successful exits within 9 months of working with him. Two are progressing towards exits, and dozens more have improved revenue and profit margins. He is also building a Smoothin.ai, a tool that delivers instant cash flow insights by connecting to a bank account or analyzing uploaded bank and credit card statements. Using AI, it's automatically categorizing transactions and provides clear dashboards to support faster cash decisions. Through Smooth he also shares practical, operator-focused finance education to help people master cash flow with jargon. It is my pleasure to introduce you, Ivo. Hi, Ivo. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Cesar. I'm very well. Happy to
Yeah,
be here. Thanks for
definitely.
having me here.
Thank you for being here. I'm super excited to especially right now knowing about how we're progressing with AI and the things you've been able to do. All those things. I'm definitely excited to tap into that. Before we get started with that, though, tell me a bit about your background, where you're originally from, and tell me how was your upbringing.
Sure. So my name's Ivo, spelt with an I, so it's very odd for a lot of people who speak
Yeah,
English. I was brought up in a British schooling system, so everybody's been calling me Ivo since I was basically born.
got you.
Um,
Yeah.
well, my upbringing, listen, I was born in the USSR. Now it's a small country called Latvia. Um, And basically, once we got independence, I was moving around a lot as a kid, and my dad was a diplomat, so I was in that kind of environment all my life. But it was very eye-opening for me and interesting to meet all kinds of cultures, different backgrounds, different types of systems, so on and so forth. So it's really helped me with my neuroplasticity.
Hmm.
And I've kind of continued as a grown up moving around. Like I haven't really lived longer than 8 years in one country. Right now, I'm in Belgium, but I'm sure that come if we follow up in 10 years time, I'm gonna be in a different spot.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, and I think that's part of a beauty too, right? I mean, there's those pros and cons, but I think the fact that you're able to, uh, as you mentioned, be in different countries and seeing different cultures and different systems, right? I'm sure that also has helped you develop the skills that you have right now to help you with the business that you're doing and being able to do what you're doing over 4 different countries, right? And help people in such a way. Tell me a little bit about how did you stumble on doing the things you're doing right now? Yeah, I know for the most part, right? As you're growing up, people, kids always have this idea that, when I grow up, I want to be this, or I want to be that. I want to get involved with something specifically, right? How did you stumble on doing the things you're doing right now?
Oh, great question. Listen, I've got two older brothers. My eldest brother is 18 years older than me, so he could be even my father in
Yep,
theory.
yep.
Um, and both of them were always entrepreneurial and kind of showing me the ropes around it. And I always had somebody bigger to look up at. And like the entrepreneurial side, I really liked. The thing that I liked the most was the freedom in making your own decisions.
Mm,
And it's not necessarily from a lazy perspective that like owners do nothing. I saw firsthand that they do a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
but it's a question of like I make the decision on my whole life. Like, and that was the really empowering thing for me because I wouldn't say I'm an anarchist, but I do have a problem following stupid rules.
Yeah. Right.
Uh, so, that's the thing that kind of started getting me into these things. Then my brother kind of the middle brother showed me around and took me under his wing when he was, you know, doing his business, which was he had like a project of 250 units for like townhouses.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, real estate was always in my lifeline, and like kind of I went into more of the digital into real estate because of that, and like computers and IT was always a thing that I really liked, so it kind of naturally progressed into that and that side of the business, and yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah,
it.
I got it. No, that's awesome. You know that being an entrepreneur is not for everyone, right? What do you consider to be some of your biggest challenges that you have to overcome in being and doing that on your own?
Yeah, well, listen, I think there's probably four moments in my life that were like life changing or life altering. I'll put it this way. The first one was the '08 crash because
Hmm.
we had built a business for a year and a half, invested everything in that business, and then for no fault of our own, basically we uh, we were the selling face of a detergent solution for like industrial scale type of detergent solution.
Mm,
And we finally managed to get a deal, which was a really big deal for us. And the manufacturer just basically didn't have the cash to make all
to
the stuff,
continue.
so
Yeah.
that was it. So then I packed my bags. You know, I was 25 years old at the time. Moved to London. So that was my first time that I left everything. Also left with kind of, credit card debt and a lease and stuff like that. So getting out of that and within a year being able to pay all of that off, just shows like the growth that's possible after going through a tough period, right? Then I would say the second time, then I moved to Ukraine from London because we started the business, the real estate marketplace business in Ukraine from there. And there basically, of course, we had the troubles in 2014, 15.
Hmm.
So going from like a civil unrest, everything's unclear, so on and so forth. That was very challenging. Then also when COVID hit in Ukraine, it was very, very tough because there was no government support.
Mm,
You had to think on your feet, anything that you had basically everything that you had in your assets, that was it.
wow.
Because you didn't know, you couldn't forecast in terms of like when is the next money going to come in and how are even your clients, how are they going to feel themselves, right?
Right.
And where are they going to get their money? And we managed to get through that fine. It was hard because you had to lay off quite a few people, but we came out of it stronger and much better. And then the last one was probably the one that broke me the most, which was when the full-scale war started. Me
Mm.
not being Ukrainian, I packed up my bags, packed my pregnant wife also at the time, and we just left. So that one I didn't.
Yeah,
The outcome of that one was a little bit different, but
of
I'm here
course.
today. So
Yeah. Yeah, and the one thing that comes to mind is like, I mean, even going after so many different moments in life where, one would say, hey, you already got one too many signs. Why are you continuing? Why are you continuing? Why are you continuing to do this? Um, what do you tell those people? Because I do believe that there's that fear. A lot of people nowadays want to get into becoming their own boss and want to do their own stuff, right? But after one fall or two falls, people say, you know what, this is not for me. They give up and they go back to their 9 to 5 job or whatever, right? Why should people not give up if you have that passion? Obviously, you've continued this journey. Besides the obvious of, hey, you don't take orders, right? Besides that, though, right? Why continue when there's been so many signs to like, hey, maybe it's time for you to stop?
yeah, I think it's a combination of things, but I think that the main one is that you enjoy the process of learning
Mm,
and that process never ends because every day as an owner or as an entrepreneur, all you're doing literally is learning on the spot, and you're just leveling up every single day because you're learning new stuff. Or the game has changed, for example, and you need to update the way that things are working,
hmm.
right? Like cold calling doesn't work the same way as it worked 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago. Like even if you're, even if you got one business that's doing one thing, you got to stay on top of your game. It's like sports,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the hard part is that in the beginning, we're like kids, which means we don't have the attention span and we don't have the vested interest in following through on it. And like, I've got three kids. So I know the effort it takes for me to get like my son to even go to the stuff that he enjoys doing. Like he's got swimming lessons every Saturday. It's a fight like to get him to go to those swimming lessons,
Right.
even though he comes out of it like super excited and super happy, right? Like, hey, Dad, I can now swim like without any assistance, right? Like that's the thing that's happened last week. Like it's an amazing achievement.
Mm.
And he's gonna be 5 next week, right? So it's like you we and as entrepreneurs you don't have that, right? Like it's and that's why mentors I think are very helpful for a lot of entrepreneurs. So if you can try to get somebody to help you out that way, that's great. But it's really just and sometimes that can be very, very annoying because you don't know
Right.
the amount of time and the amount of iterations that something is going to take for it to become successful. And I
Yeah.
think that is the daunting thing that gets most people. And the thing is, it's like digging for gold, right? Like you could be like one inch away from like a pot of gold, like
True. Yeah.
at any point in time. The question is, we don't know if it's an inch or if it's a foot or if it's a mile. We don't know,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. You said two things that are very important. I think are tied into what you're doing right now, right? Helping a lot of businesses throughout. You talked about process, right? Even as an entrepreneur, there's a process of learning. But I do believe that even as you coming into these companies and you're helping them identify different areas, it really comes down to the process, right? The second thing you talked about is, um, it's important for an entrepreneur to have a mentor. And I do believe that even on the flip side, also businesses should have, especially when they're looking to have a positive trajectory, bring somebody in, an expert, right, as a mentor, or in this case, you coming into this space to help them see the things that they don't see. Because sometimes, you coming from the outside, just like a mentor can tell you things that you don't see, right? So let's talk about a little bit about the process and or the guidance that you give these businesses. How do you select the client, or do they select you? And then once that happens, just kind of give me an overall highlight of what will be a process.
Sure. So this is where I differ quite a lot to like consultants, because consultants will be like, "Hey, listen, I'll go into any business, right? I'll show some expertise in like anything." I'm really focused on, you mentioned like marketplaces, SaaS,
Hmm.
all of this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you boil it down, it's like if you have a company that has a sales team, so actually people that are doing the sales. Because for marketplaces, guess what? It's people that are making the sales, right?
Right.
For the large accounts and all this kind of stuff. For SaaS businesses, if it's software and if it's not, also the large accounts are being handled by people. And similarly for e-commerce, like I was working for brands, a lot of these e-commerce platforms, they're brands themselves, right? And like if you're working with B2B and you have retailers, guess what? You're gonna have a sales team that's managing those B2B retailers, right? So I'm focused really on companies that have a product that they're selling with people. There is a potential for churn risk, and there's like there is one thing that you're selling, right? So that's where I kind of shine because I know the processes. Like I would not take a customer that's outside of those parameters or that doesn't have that setup, right? Like if they have a hardware product that's like being sold through trade shows and stuff like that, that's not me. I'm not that guy, right? I'm a guy that sets up processes in a relatively modern way.
Hmm.
Um, for any company to sell their online service or online product. Even if behind it there's like goods being sold and supplies and stuff like that, but like the sales process is all done within a team and like an office or something like that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is what I do is actually I provide a free audit for anybody coming in. I spend 1 hour of my time looking and going through everything that the business is doing, and then as a result of that, I can know like can I give value or and if I can give value, in what time frame, what are the things that we need to implement, and then
Hmm.
we agree on how we're going to do it. Because there's two sides of my business. One is the strategy and the planning. and the other one is the actual implementation. And they're depending on the size of the team and the competences of the team and this kind of stuff. Some of the implementation can be done by other people, or if need be, I can do some of the implementation with some of my colleagues in my network as well. So that's kind of like the process.
Gotcha. And then in terms of, you said the company has to have a sales team. Is there a minimum number of actual salespeople, that is
Yeah, sure.
advantageous for you?
So
Yeah.
I would say like my sweet spot is between if you're making like the minimum that I go in, it's at least 1.5 million ARR.
Okay.
And anything up to like 25 million usually is more or less the cap. Like um because that's where you start getting into like more complex structures and these kind
Right.
of things. And also the how could I say it? Sometimes there is a big urgency for larger companies, but it's rarely the case. I mean, you come from
Yep.
finance, so you know, like you have a
Right.
lot more to play around with because you have a lot more stuff on your balance sheet,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm really more focused on like the growth scale up stage
Yep. For
for
sure.
business.
Yeah. Got you. And then, tell me a bit about this the new venture you're working on, this AI.
Yeah, so Smoothin.ai, the name Smoothin is actually short for Smooth Insights.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I want people to feel at the end of it as they're smoothing. It's like a
Yeah.
process. It's like a
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling that you get, right? So you get a little dance. So yeah, listen, I think there's a couple of points here. One is that it's kind of coming back to that I think the world is heading to a more chaotic place.
Hmm.
And I think that a lot of people, especially in the Western world, have forgotten how to work in a chaotic world. They're too kind of prepared for stability.
Yeah.
And I think that if you really want to be kind of future-proofing yourself, then for small and medium-sized businesses, you need to be more thinking on your feet, and for that, you need to have more of a view on your cash flow position.
Hmm.
And the other aspect of it is, at least from my side, like I've always been entrepreneurial, but I don't have a financial background. Like
Hmm.
everything that I've learned it as an operator for 20 years. And finances for me never really clicked, and I didn't really understand the need for it until we had raised our first round. And the strategic partner that came in, he said, "Listen, you need a CFO." And I'm like, "No, I need more sales. I need more
Yeah.
marketing. I need this." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. You need a CFO." And then I had a CFO come in, and then it just opened a whole new world for me and an understanding of like,
Mm.
okay, so this is how these things work. And you don't need to have a 4-year degree or go through a course to understand the basics behind these things. And I still see online a lot of forums and a lot of discussions of like, hey, I'm constantly thinking of like payroll. How do I make it? Why am I constantly in cash crunches and all of this kind of stuff? And for me, like this is just basically that like nobody has explained the system that the government and everybody is working in, which is accrual accounting, right?
Mhm.
And the way that you're kind of brought up with finances, which is if I have something in my pocket, I can spend it. If I don't have it, I don't spend it, right? And
Right.
that's a different way of living, a different way of working. So that the idea behind that is like that I want to have the educational side where I'm sharing my operational kind of insights
Mm.
and small, mistakes that I've made mainly,
Yeah.
right? So just
Right.
learn from and also at the same time, just like some strategies that have helped me getting through crises. And because I've seen more crises than most people, there's been more iterations of how like what kind of things work. Um, and I think most people can actually, preemptively get rid of cash crunches and all this kind of stuff if you just forecast much better and
Hmm.
that you understand it's a timing question. Excuse me. And yeah, so that's that. What Smoothin does itself, the tool, is it connects to your bank account if you're in Europe, or you can upload your bank statements or credit card statements. It runs it through AI and basically packages it into different categories. And then you have like blocks of insights in terms of like where either you're leaking some money or like,
Gotcha.
this is like all your subscriptions. right? Just like revisit your subscriptions.
Yeah.
Or like these are your frequent expenses. Like, did you know that you're spending this much on this kind of stuff, right? Like, and as business owners, sometimes, especially now that you're delegating a lot of credit cards and a lot of this kind of stuff, you don't really have an overview of it. You're just like, I know I'm paying 5K a month for that credit card, whatever,
Hmm.
right? But again, like if you there's a lot of waste in companies, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs sometimes, we also like our small toys and these kind of things.
Right.
But the toys that entrepreneurs like are like, the new shiny tools, the new marketing campaigns,
Hmm.
all these things that are like new and shiny, but actually they haven't proven if they're contributing positively to the
Right.
business or not.
Yep.
And then what happens is like the next big thing comes and you forget that you've even signed up for those things, right? And you just go to the next thing. So like we have a lot of waste running around, all of this kind of stuff. So I think, there's that aspect to it, like quick insight into like what's happening with my money, who's paid, who hasn't paid, these kind of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, just quick iterations so that you make quick decisions and improve your bottom line all the
Oh,
time.
I definitely like that. I mean, I can already see how, even if you were to make this available to like the consumer, the real consumer, I think there's definitely a lot, a lot that they can do. But even from a business perspective, like you're right, we're always looking at this shiny object, and we tend to forget all these different things. And there's definitely validity there where you might be leaking money that you didn't even know that you're leaking because you forgot about it, right? We're so busy running the business or a team that you forget, what you're paying for or not paying for, right? And so I think that that's
Yeah,
going to be
I mean,
huge. When is that going to be available?
that's already available. So
Okay.
for now it's for free because we're really just trying to get everybody to test it out. So just go to smoothin.ai and you can feel free to check it out there. Um, and yeah, give us your feedback wherever you can.
Hmm.
Even reach out to me directly. My email's everywhere on the website. But it's also very easy to remember. It's ivo@smoothin.ai. Um, so yeah, reach out. Happy to talk to anybody who's trying out the product.
For sure.
Um, I think the other thing that I think that a lot of entrepreneurs miss, and this is kind of like to circle back a little bit on the shiny thing, is we sometimes forget also how a lot of the systems that we use, what are the risks associated with them as we grow. So, for example, one of the stories that I like to share is like for this manufacturer, we were working with HubSpot as a CRM system and they were managing 400 clients on HubSpot. So they had the full suite, which was fine. It was like, €1, so like $1
Hmm.
equivalent per client per month. So 400 for a business that's doing 25 million revenue per year, perfectly fine to pay that, not a
Right.
problem. And then we had a marketing person come in and she's like, hey, we have all these cold emails because we were starting to go into direct to consumer. And we had like, 13,000 emails from end consumers across, either they had bought a product with us or they had come on a trade show or, from various kind of channels, we had amassed this 13,000. And she's like, wouldn't it be great to have like a full overview of that on HubSpot? Obviously, HubSpot's like, yeah, sure, go ahead, no problem. She imported the 13,000 contacts, and next month, and nobody had told her like the pricing. I didn't know it all at the time as well. And next month, the boss comes in, walks in, he's like, "What's this bill for 13K from HubSpot?" And we're like, "What?" And it's like
Yeah.
nobody told us about it, right? And I think especially as you start delegating things
Yeah.
like just having a list of like, hey, listen, there are these systems that we're using. This is how they work. This is how they're connected directly to revenue. Because trust me, like 400 a month is fine.
But
When he gets the bill of
13,000.
13K
Yeah.
from the profit, he was
Right.
not happy.
Yeah, no, I bet. No, definitely. And I know one of the things you've been able to do successfully, like you've helped companies, through all of these different strategies and processes that you've been able to give them an exit strategy, right? If they want to exit and then you have some that are kind of working towards that. Where are you say you're doing this over 4 different countries. Which are the countries you're working with right now?
So yeah, actually, I'm kind of quite agnostic. I think the
Okay,
main question for me is English language.
got
Okay.
you.
Because the biggest success in terms of an exit was I was helping a friend of mine who is from the States.
Mm,
And he was, yeah, he had a fintech company. It's called Finmark. It was bought by Bill.com. Very successful exit. So, I was working night shifts at that time, at that point in time.
yeah,
And for him, we were just going up market, up market, up market. We started selling at a 5K plus price point, and yeah, within 9 months, the build just saw the opportunity there and was quick to pull the trigger. Right. So
nice.
um, yeah, so it's really depending on it just depends on the language. Like as long as it's in English, everything's fine.
Yeah,
Although I do speak seven other languages.
nice. Yeah.
English is my main working one, so I would keep it that way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, no, that makes perfect sense. So tell me, obviously being an entrepreneur, doing the things you're doing, having a family, all of these different things, I do believe that there's a level of commitment and a level of discipline, right? Can you share with me what are the things that you do specifically? Are there any things you do on a day-to-day basis to keep you up and going, and disciplined, and on track with all the things you're balancing on a day-to-day basis?
So, are you looking for a routine or for like
Mm.
something like that?
Yeah.
Say, listen, my routine doesn't change from day to day. I have a very good tool that I'm using in my toolbox, which is three small kids. Like I have
Yeah.
no time to think.
Yeah. Well, that's really
So,
good for sure. Yeah.
my oldest, like I said, is he's gonna be 5 next week. And that means I have no time to even think about
Yeah.
procrastination. It's a full schedule, everything is fully booked, pre-booked, half a year in advance. I know every weekend where I'm going to be, what I'm going to be doing, where my kid's going to be, so on and so forth. So I think, that's the hack for people who don't have kids, which is like just time block, right?
Mhm.
Like time blocking works and it works for a reason. And the reason is that you don't think what else you need to do. It's just like it's in your calendar, it's in your agenda, and you just go and you do it. And trust me, obviously, having three kids, you have many sleepless nights or many nights when when the kids are sick. So everything is thrown out the window all the time. Similar as we experience as entrepreneurs, founders, all this kind of stuff. Um, any founder at any level who has a team, most of them say that they're the happiest during non-working hours because that's when they can get the most work in, right?
Yeah. Right.
Um, so it's a similar kind of thing here. Like it's just packed, 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 and then like at the end of the day, that's it. Like lights out, bang.
Yeah.
Like I need to even forecast in my time for when I want to watch a movie with my wife or something like
Mhm.
that. Like
Okay.
it's not like what are we gonna watch? Are we gonna watch Netflix tonight or something else? It's like no, no. I've
Yeah.
planned this podcast. I've done that. Like it's all pre-planned. So I guess that's the main trick.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that. I definitely love that. So, Ivo, people want to connect with you. What is the best way for them to connect with you, contact you, find out more about the things you have going on?
Yeah, perfect. So, Real Smoothin is YouTube. So try out the YouTube channel for us. Reach out to me specifically via email at ivo@smoothin.ai, or just go to smoothin.ai and you can find all our details there. Try out Smoothin, try out the app, and yeah, if you love to connect, I'm happy to connect with anybody. I jump on any call with anybody for 15 minutes. I'm super open to networking and I love just hearing other stories from other people
Yeah,
and yeah, seeing if anything goes from there.
I love that. I love that. Well, I just have a couple more questions for you. For the people that are listening to us and are watching us, if they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing or a few things they can start doing to start overcoming that challenge?
Ooh, I think for whatever challenge that you have that's come on your lap, um, what's helped me at least, especially over the past 4 years, is don't make a quick decision. Go
Mm,
for a walk, um, play with your kids, do something that tries to get your mind off it. everybody always says, yes, I need to sleep on it, this kind of stuff. That's fine, but like sometimes it's like impossible to fall asleep, right? So,
Right.
but doing something physical that really challenges your mind to focus on something, so playing a sport or playing an instrument or you know, something where you actually have to like physically do something that really helps you kind of it forces you to get out of that zone, and then once you come back, you're like, okay, I can think about it from another angle and from
Yeah.
another perspective. Because the one thing that I've learned is it's never the end of the world, even if somebody's suing you or if you've got bankruptcies on the horizon or whatever. Like life doesn't stop, nothing ends. It's just another iteration, another challenge, and just go through life that way. And yeah, I think the more challenges you go through, the more resilient you become. So it's really like going to the gym or something like that. So I would say if you're not getting enough challenges, try to put yourself into some challenges. Try
Mhm.
like try to do some new stuff
Yeah.
because it's a muscle memory that's gonna be there, and it's gonna help you in the future. Because tough
Yeah.
times will come for whoever. It doesn't matter. Like you
Right.
know.
Yeah, no, and it is true, and I love what you said here. It's never as bad as your thoughts make it seem, right? And I have a saying that I like to always kind of embrace along those lines, and I'm like, you can probably lose your house, you can probably lose the wife or something, or the significant other. You can probably lose your business, right? But as long as you're still living, you have a second chance at life, right? And so the minute you lose your life, that's it. But if you can lose everything else but your life, right? So I think you said it, and obviously you've gone through not just once but multiple different downfalls to an extent that have helped you get to where you are now, which is huge. So no, that's good.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate that. And I think, yeah, you're right that, we are our own worst nightmare when it comes to thoughts on like how terrible is it going to be, right? Like, and we need to flip that around and also think that I can then create the best thing in my mind as well, right? And like
Yeah.
think of the positives and just find the creative ways of going at it. And it's not always a money question. Sometimes you can be creative and do anything on a shoestring budget.
Right. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Well, Ivo, I really enjoyed our conversation and thank you for sharing all the things you had to share. Anything or any last minute things you want to share before I let you go?
Uh, Yeah, I guess. Thank you, Cesar, for doing these things. I love listening to you, and I hope you get many more guests and continue doing this in the future.
Thank you again. I really appreciate it and definitely love our conversation. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Please make sure that you guys share this message because definitely somebody needs to hear it. And stay tuned for the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you again.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046. Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.